What's up, fam? Coach Cam back again with another video, and in this video let's talk about how to train in the gym in 2025, right? How to get results in 2025. So what do we know so far about training? We know it needs to be hard, right? If you're doing easy work, how is that even training? If it's so easy that it's not stressful on your body, it's not giving it a threatening stimulus to make an adaptation, it's not training. That's what training is. That's what exercise is. It's purposeful activity that contracts skeletal muscle in order to elicit increases in muscle size, strength, cardiovascular conditioning. And so when you couple that together, you have resistance training, you have weight training. And weight training gives you benefits that other activities cannot give you. Other sports cannot give you muscle growth. They cannot elicit your muscle fibers to increase in size. What a demanding, stressful stimulus you need in order to do that, right? You're not going to get that playing basketball, playing baseball, even playing football. You're quickly, explosively like running and hitting somebody and the play's over in 5 seconds or less, right? That's not enough time. That's not enough tension to build meaningful like tissue. I think we can all agree on that, right? So what should you do to train? Well, first you need to make a training plan. You need the basic exercises that in the movement patterns of your body, right? You need like a horizontal push, a vertical push, a horizontal pull, vertical pull, a squat, a deadlift variation. That's kind of your starting point, and then you can throw in work for your upper arms, so your biceps, your triceps, your deltoid muscles on your shoulders. Like, this is really basic stuff here. And you can add more stuff for your glutes. You can train your calves. Like, you can branch off from that, right? But that's your basic movements that you want to get stronger at. Notice I said get stronger, not just do more work, right? If, it's overhead press and you just do your first round, you do 5 reps. In the second round, you do 10 and then 15 and then 20. Like, was it ever challenging when you did 5? Was it ever stressful enough? No. If you can do 20, then it's not stressful just to stop at 5. Why would you stop? Like, your body doesn't know you're trying to do like a HIIT interval workout. All it knows is, hey, this wasn't very stressful. And then you did 20 reps with it and you're like, okay, now it's stressful. Why not just go straight to the stress? Why are people avoiding the stress, the stimulus that you have to get to, right? And so pick your exercise selection, pick your weights that you're going to use through experimenting. You can't tell someone exactly how much weight they need to be using, but they can grab a weight and do a set, and you say, oh, you did 20 reps with that. Probably too light, right? It's reasonable. Like, you could just do sets of 20, but it's unrealistic to do sets of 20 on everything. Like, you have to manage your fatigue somehow. And I definitely have found that lowering the time of the set and the amount of reps I did to, like, most exercises, I'm talking 6 to 10. 6 to 10. And if you're going beyond that, and maybe there's a good reason, like for calves, I'm going beyond that, shrugs, I'm going beyond that. But bread and butter exercises, 6 to 10 is fine. And you can tell when you need to add weight. You can tell because it's easy, or because you hit 12 reps or you hit 15 and now it's time to add weight. You got to get stronger to get better results, I guess is my point here. You have to get stronger. You have to progressively overload, which is a very general term, but I think it helps you mentally get your mind in the right place. And you have to standardize your form, right? So if today I'm doing 3-second concentric, 3-second eccentric, But then in 2 months, I'm doing 1 second each, and I'm moving more weight. Well, that's because I changed my form. So if you want to move the weights as fast as humanly possible, that is a skill that you are training now. You're now training your nervous system to move weight from point A to point B quickly. And that's kind of a sport, that's like competition type stuff. But when you're talking about training your muscles, it's not required. It's not required to move the weight as fast as possible. You want a form that allows the muscles to experience tension. If you're doing squats and you're just bouncing up and down, bouncing off your calves, you know what I'm saying? That's not getting the stress to your quads, to your glutes. You would have to move a little bit more controlled than that, right? And I've experienced this myself with pull-ups and chin-ups. You know, I have done the slow controlled stuff, and then now I don't do that. I kind of just move the weight a little bit quicker because I like pull-ups, and that's like a lift that I want to see what I can do, and I want to see how much weight I can move. So I'm treating it like a competition. That's not proper exercise, I guess. Like, I would slow it down and squeeze the target muscle a little bit more while still moving weight. Like, there's a balance there. There's a balance you have to find and strike a balance on each exercise of like, how do you move to get the most out of that exercise? You know, maybe deadlifts. Yeah, you kind of just need to be picking the weight up and putting it back down. Like, I don't really recommend like slow controlled deadlifts. Like, I think go ahead, pick it up, put it down, pick it up, put it down. You will still, it's all muscle failure a little, generally you're hitting muscle failure anyway. Whether you're moving it fast or moving it slow, it's still relatively close enough to being the same thing that it's not that important to discuss this. And other high intensity trainers will say that. They'll say it doesn't matter because it is one of those variables that doesn't matter a ton. But you do want to standardize your form on the exercises that you're doing. So once you understand those kind of type of exercises are what you want, you might say, well, should I do machines? Should I do free weights? Should I do barbell? Another one that really doesn't matter, because the muscles are going to work either way, right? If you're doing chest press on a machine, dumbbells, barbell, however, I'm going to have a caveat for the barbell, but you're pressing horizontally, like it's the same thing. Now, the caveat with the barbell is this. Most people cannot touch barbell bench press without thinking it's a competition, without thinking they need to move the weight as fast as possible and compare their weights to the next guy's weight and the weight they used to lift in high school. And it's this lift that everyone has numbers for and everyone tries to compare. And so because of that, the barbell bench is a lift that people ego lift. And it even what happened to me, like if I start barbell benching, I will ego lift. Like, I will try to push more weight just to be able to say like, oh, I can move this much weight, or just to feel good about yourself. People don't really use the barbell bench for exercise, is my point too. Like, just because it's in your program and you're moving the weight up and down doesn't mean you're exercising with that movement, right? You might just be moving weight up and down. You might just be trying to compete with yourself, lifting a little too heavy. You need to pick a sweet spot, a weight that's, like we talked about, 6 reps up to 10 reps, that you can move with a purpose, but not throw the weight up and down. I don't think throwing weight up and down and moving just for reps is beneficial. I think you can be smarter than that. I think you can take your time and be effortful and be thoughtful about your exercises and contract the muscles as hard as possible, because the exercise is just a tool that allows you to do that. That's why you can use any equipment really, because you need to contract your muscles. If you're talking about the back and rows, that's why you could just go under a pair of rings, gymnastics rings, and perform rows, because you can pull yourself up, and as long as there's enough resistance there, you can get a hypertrophy response, a stimulus from that. So It doesn't matter as much as people think. And I've honestly found this with myself, that I used to just overthink my exercise selection all the time. And I thought all these other guys had like better exercise selections than me, and maybe that's why they looked insane. And then I just went on a cut, and now I'm like, no, they just look insane because they're lean. Once you start getting lean too, you're like, oh, snap. I'm looking similar to these guys now. You know, you need to lift weights for years, for sure. But you can look freaky if you just cut. So it's not exercise. It's like you want a program that you can stick to and be consistent with. And my program is pretty similar. If you watch my videos, largely you're seeing the same exercises over and over and over. And that's just the way muscle building is. And if you find an exercise that's really good and you like it, why would you change it? You can, I recommend, tweaking it, maybe going for like a little bit of a different variation. And you can rotate exercises if you're not feeling them, or it's just been a long time, you're in a little bit of you're stuck in a grind, right? You're plateauing, as they call it. But don't switch the moment you think you're in a plateau, because that's actually the moment that you need to keep that exercise and keep pushing forward and grinding it out, and you will actually get better results than if you just keep switching. Because once you switch exercises, you got to restart. You got to start back at the bottom from what weights do you use, how did that feel, and you're gonna have to slowly progress over the next coming weeks just to get to a weight in a rep range that's kind of challenging for you. So in order to avoid that whole break-in period, just keep the same exercise for longer and really work on it and improve it. And if you need a second exercise for a muscle group, and you're finding that your primary exercise is no longer progressing by itself, and your gains are kind of stalling there, add a second exercise. No big deal. Add a second exercise. Who cares? The internet's gonna explode, but it's just you in the gym by yourself. Like, stop thinking about everybody else. Stop thinking about the internet. You're watching this video now, but when you go to work out, you need to tune out me in your brain. Like, you need to work out for you. Take these thoughts with you and think about them and let them change like how you train. But by and large, when you're in the gym getting the workout in, you don't need to have distractions. You don't even need to be thinking about what I've said or anything like that. Like, take this in and focus on your training. So my training's been going good in the garage gym. Working hard, seeing good results, except I keep getting sick. I had a strep throat, and then I took antibiotics for 7 days, and I was supposed to take them for 10 days. Somehow I only took them for 7, and 3 days later it came back. So now I'm on another round of 10 days, and I don't know, this 10 days doesn't feel as good as the last. So I'm trying to get in the gym as soon as I can, though. But yeah. Hopefully this video kind of helps you understand more that it's about pushing your muscles hard. And then beyond that, you start thinking about diet, right? High protein. You want high protein, and you want to leverage your diet to make gains. So if you're extremely thin and very underweight, then I highly recommend eating extra calories. You're probably going to do it naturally, right? But if that's not natural for you, then eat extra calories. And if you're not very thin, you can cut your calories. You can eat less calories, go for walks. That's literally all you have to do to lose weight. You could just go for some walks and eat less food each day. And you should be in a deficit, and your weight will be going down. Take weekly averages, because sometimes it's going to fluctuate. But that's really it. Like, people have made dieting to be so mind-blowing that it's not, bro. It's very simple. It's very simple. Anyone can do it. I don't think you need a coach exactly to diet, but if you did need help, reach out. But I try to simplify exercise, and I know some people that bugs them that I'm like speaking in such simple terms and that exercise has all these other variables to it. And I know it has all those other variables. I know it's complicated. I've already learned all about it in the textbooks, bro. Being tested on this stuff for years, getting my degree. So I already know how complicated it is. I'm trying to simplify it. I like to simplify exercise. I want it to be easy to digest, easy to understand, and I want you to have one goal when you go in the gym. I don't want you to just do reps upon reps upon reps of basic exercises, accumulating 100 reps, 50 reps. Why would you do that? When like a hard sets of 10 and you're done. Like you did the same stimulus, but you streamlined it, right? By doing heavier resistance training. You don't have to be in the gym all day, and you don't have to exhaust yourself. That's what I've found. Am I exhausted after my workouts? No, I'm not exhausted. I'm more tired than when I walked in there, but I'm not exhausted. So if you could get the stimulus without being exhausted, I think that's a win, because you still have to have energy for the rest of your life. You have to have energy for your family, your friends, especially if you work a job that's like a career like I do. Bro, I'm going to be a firefighter for the next 30 years. Possibly, right? I'm not going to beat myself up for 30 years doing extra work, doing a whole bunch of extra reps with no benefits, bro. Because for me, it's like I'm not trying to I don't need to improve my cardiovascular fitness. And I know that's like controversial. Like, what do you mean you don't need to improve it? It's whatever I practice is what I'm going to get good at this point. I'm not building a bigger heart and bigger lungs and all that. If that's even possible, I already did it during cross-country training for 7 years, right? So that's already come and gone. At this point, it's just skills. You're just picking up skills for me. So firefighting, picking up skills. If I want to, like I train, weighted muscle ups and stuff like that. It's just picking up a skill. Or if I go back to, heavier pull-ups for reps, like quick reps and stuff, it's just picking up, practicing that skill. That's what it is. And so when I'm not trying to practice any skills in the moment, and when I'm in the gym, I'm training the muscles of the body. This is what athletes have to do, right? If you play football or basketball, you can't be thinking about basketball when you're in the gym. You need to be training the quads, the hamstrings, the glutes, the calves, the muscles that produce the force for you to play basketball. You're not going to get anything in the gym that's remotely close enough to carry over directly as a skill to your basketball training. You have to train basketball to get better at basketball. But if you have stronger muscles that can produce force, that can help you play basketball. So don't neglect your muscles just to move weight, unless it's for a good reason, for a specific reason that you have. But I would like to see people lifting more for their muscles and less for movement. There's that idea, movement is medicine. Exercise is medicine. And I agree, exercise is medicine. But I don't think it's tied to movement like people say it is. It's tied to contracting your muscles. And if you have to do isometric contractions, say you have very minimal equipment, you can do isometrics. And you can contract your muscles and get a stimulus of exercise to your body. You don't have to move a whole bunch, right? Because think about your joints and your tendons. What's more like damaging to your tendons? If I did 10 bicep curls with weight, or if I did 100 bicep curls with a lot lighter of a weight? You would laugh at me. You'd be like, why are you doing 100 when you can train really hard in like 8 to 10 reps? There's no point in doing all those extra reps. It's not good for your connective tissue. If you don't believe me, just try it. If you get an injury, don't come crawling to me, because I will have told you, hey, you don't need to do that many reps, bro. Do the least amount of reps required to train the muscles of your body. Push yourself hard, and you don't have to do hundreds of reps. Keep a consistent training plan. I used to do that, though. I used to go to the park and, I'm going to do 10 sets of 10 today on pull-ups and chin-ups. Or why? Like, literally, why? When you can go really hard for like 1 to 2 sets, and that's the stimulus, bro. That's it right there. You got it. You got to grind out those hard reps, or use plenty of weight to where you don't have to go all the way to failure, right? On like squats and deadlifts, people have commented and they've said to me, Coach Kim, you can't advocate to people to do squats and deadlifts to failure. That's dangerous. And to that I say, look, I'm advocating generally to train to failure. Generally, push yourself as hard as possible. That's what I'm advocating. And if you're on squats, push yourself as hard as possible. I still have to push myself as hard as possible, and it's difficult on some of those exercises. I'm not trying to get you injured. I'm trying to build a mindset that you keep with you and that you train hard always, right? Unless you're doing some skill practice that you can perform for easy training, we'll say, it needs to be hard training. Training needs to be hard because that is the stimulus to improving. Easy training does not stimulate enough to improve, right? If you're trying to improve your 5K time, 5K run, say you run a 18-minute 5K, does walking improve your 5K time? No. How could it? It's not even close to your race pace. It's not stressful enough. You're just relaxed walking. You have to train hard to get results. And so train the muscles hard, contract them, and don't just waste reps, bro. Be conservative. You have your whole life to train. If you're doing hundreds and hundreds of reps every workout, what if your training life is shorter because of that? Like, what if when you turn 40, all your joints are trashed and you're like, dang, I'm done training? Whereas since I saved reps, like I did efficient training, I can keep training for the rest of my life. You know what I mean? So think about that. Think about, are you being efficient with your training, or are you just doing reps for no reason until you're exhausted? Thanks guys so much for watching. Coach Cam, and I'll see you guys in the next one.